What if the impossible happened at Heartland Ranch? What if the man Amy spent years grieving suddenly found his way back into her life? And what if the daughter who barely remembers her father finally had the chance to know the man behind all the stories? As Heartland moves closer to its 20th season, fans continue asking one question that refuses to disappear. Could Ty Borden somehow return? While there is no official confirmation that such a storyline will happen, the idea alone is enough to spark emotions across the entire Heartland community, because some characters never truly leave the hearts of viewers. And if there is one character who continues to cast a shadow over every chapter of Amy's life, it is Ty Borden. But what would happen if fate offered Amy and Lindy one final chance? What if everything they thought was lost suddenly became possible again? The answer could change Heartland forever. Even after all these years, Ty Borden remains one of the most important figures in Heartland history. His love story with Amy helped define the series for an entire generation of viewers. His journey from a troubled teenager to a devoted husband and father became one of the most inspiring transformations ever seen on the show. And perhaps that is why fans still talk about him today. His absence created a wound that never completely healed. Not for Amy, not for the family, and certainly not for the audience. As season 20 approaches, many viewers believe the show could revisit Ty's legacy in a much bigger way than ever before. Not simply through old photographs or memories, but through a storyline that forces Amy to confront everything she thought she had left behind. Imagine Amy standing at a point in her life where she finally feels stable again. Years have passed since the tragedy that changed everything. She has worked hard to rebuild herself. She has focused on her daughter, her family, her horses, and the ranch that has always been her home. But sometimes the past has a way of finding us when we least expect it. One of the most fascinating possibilities for season 20 is the idea that Amy begins experiencing moments that make her question everything she believes about her future. Small reminders of Ty begin appearing everywhere. A forgotten memory, a familiar voice in her thoughts, an old letter she never knew existed. At first, she dismisses these moments as nothing more than emotions resurfacing. After all, grief never truly disappears. It simply changes shape over time. Yet the strange feeling continues, growing stronger. At the same time, Lindy is entering a new stage of her life. She is older now, more curious, and more determined to understand the father everyone speaks about with such admiration. For years, she has listened to stories from Amy, Jack, and Lou. She knows Ty was brave. She knows he loved his family. She knows he would have done anything for the people he cared about. But stories can only answer so many questions. Eventually, Lindy begins wanting something more. She wants to know what Ty sounded like when he laughed. She wants to know what kind of advice he would give her when life becomes difficult. She wants to know whether he would be proud of the person she is becoming. These questions place Amy in an emotional position she never expected. Every answer brings comfort, but every answer also brings pain. Because talking about Ty means reopening memories that remain incredibly powerful. As Lindy's questions become more frequent, Amy realizes something important. Her daughter is searching for a connection. Not with a memory, not with a photograph, but with her father. That realization changes everything. Meanwhile, the rest of the family begins noticing something remarkable. The older Lindy becomes, the more she resembles Ty. It is not just her appearance. It is the way she approaches challenges. It is her stubborn determination. It is her refusal to quit when things become difficult. Even Jack starts seeing familiar traits that remind him of the young man who once arrived at Heartland looking for a second chance. Every new similarity creates a powerful emotional reaction within the family. For Amy, those moments are both beautiful and heartbreaking. Sometimes she catches herself smiling because she sees so much of Ty in their daughter. Other times, the realization leaves her speechless because each reminder proves that Ty's influence never truly disappeared. It simply continued through Lindy. But just as Amy begins accepting that truth, an unexpected discovery threatens to change everything she thought she knew. A discovery connected to Ty. A discovery hidden for years. And when Amy finally learns the truth, she realizes that her journey with Ty may not be as finished as she once believed. The question is no longer whether she can move on. The question is whether the past is about to return in a way nobody ever imagined. The discovery begins as something small. At first, Amy does not think much of it. Heartland Ranch has been standing for generations, and over the years, countless belongings, documents, and memories have been tucked away in forgotten corners. But this time feels different. What Amy finds appears connected to Ty. The moment she realizes that, her heart begins racing. For years, Amy believed she had already seen every photograph, every letter, every keepsake connected to the man she loved. She thought she had carefully preserved every piece of his memory for Lindy, yet somehow, something remained hidden. Something important. As Amy slowly examines what she has found, old emotions come rushing back. Memories she thought she had learned to live with suddenly feel fresh again. Every word, every detail, every reminder brings her closer to the version of herself she once was when Ty stood beside her every day. But this discovery is not only affecting Amy, it is affecting Lindy as well. When Lindy learns about it, her curiosity becomes impossible to contain. She immediately wants to know everything. She wants to understand why nobody found it sooner. She wants to know what it reveals about her father. Most importantly, she wants to know whether it contains answers to questions she has carried for years. Questions about the man she never truly had the chance to know. For Amy, that creates a difficult situation. Part of her wants to protect Lindy from disappointment, part of her wants to keep certain memories private, yet another part understands that her daughter deserves to know the truth about Ty, no matter how emotional that truth may be. As the days pass, Amy and Lindy begin exploring pieces of Ty's past together. What starts as a simple search for answers gradually becomes something much bigger. Mother and daughter find themselves reconnecting through the very person they both miss the most. And the more they learn, the more powerful Ty's presence feels. Not because he is physically there, but because his influence seems to exist everywhere. Every lesson he taught, every sacrifice he made, every dream he once had for his family. It all begins resurfacing. Meanwhile, Jack quietly observes everything happening around him. Like Amy, he has spent years carrying the pain of losing Ty. He watched Amy struggle through heartbreak. He watched Lindy grow up without her father. And now, as old memories return to the surface, he worries that everyone may be reopening wounds that never fully healed. But Jack also understands something important. Some journeys cannot be avoided. Some questions deserve answers. And some memories need to be faced before true peace can be found. At the same time, Amy finds herself standing at another major crossroads in her life. For years, her focus has been survival, then healing, then rebuilding. But now she faces something entirely different, the future. A future that may include new opportunities, new relationships, and new possibilities she never imagined after losing Ty. Yet every step forward suddenly feels complicated. Because the more she reconnects with Ty's memory, the harder it becomes to separate her past from her future. Amy begins asking herself difficult questions. Can someone truly move forward without feeling guilty? Can a person open their heart again while still holding on to the love they lost? Can happiness and grief exist together? These questions become impossible to ignore. And the answers are far from simple. Meanwhile, Lindy undergoes her own emotional transformation. The stories she once heard about her father are beginning to feel real. For the first time, she feels connected to him in a way she never experienced before. Instead of viewing Ty as a distant figure from old family stories, she starts understanding him as a real person. A husband, a father, a dreamer, someone who faced challenges and made mistakes, someone who loved his family more than anything. That realization changes how Lindy sees herself. In many ways, she begins discovering parts of her own identity through him. The family notices it immediately. Her confidence grows. Her determination becomes stronger. Her connection to Heartland deepens. And every day, more people begin seeing reflections of Ty in the young woman she is becoming. But just when everything appears to be leading toward healing, another unexpected twist emerges. A twist that nobody saw coming. A revelation connected to one of Ty's final wishes. Something he hoped for long before tragedy changed the course of his life. When Amy finally learns about it, she is left completely stunned, because this revelation has the power to reshape not only how the family remembers Ty, but also how they move forward without him. Suddenly, Amy realizes that honoring Ty's legacy may require a choice she never expected to face. A choice that could impact her future. A choice that could impact Lindy's future. and a choice that may force everyone at Heartland to confront a question they have avoided for years. What would Ty truly want for the people he loved most? As that question hangs over the ranch, one thing becomes clear. The story is no longer about looking backward. It is about deciding what comes next. And that decision may lead Amy toward the most emotional chapter of her life yet. As the season moves toward its emotional climax, the question that has lingered over Heartland from the very beginning finally becomes impossible to ignore. What does it truly mean to move forward after losing someone you love? For Amy, that question has shaped every chapter of her life since Ty's death. For years, she believed moving forward meant surviving one day at a time. Then it meant rebuilding her life. Then it meant learning how to smile again without feeling guilty. But now, standing at this new crossroads, she begins to understand something she never fully realized before. Moving forward does not mean leaving someone behind. It means carrying them with you. That realization arrives slowly, not through a single moment, not through a dramatic revelation, but through countless small experiences that begin changing Amy's perspective. Every conversation with Lindy, every memory shared by Jack, every lesson Ty left behind. Together, they create a picture that Amy had been unable to see for years. Ty's story never ended. It simply continued through the people who loved him. Meanwhile, Lindy finds herself experiencing an emotional journey unlike anything she has known before. The more she learns about her father, the more she feels connected to him. She starts understanding why everyone speaks about him with such admiration. She begins recognizing his influence in the family around her. Most importantly, she begins recognizing his influence within herself. At first, that realization feels overwhelming. How can someone miss a person they barely remember? How can someone love a father they never truly got to know? Yet those feelings become stronger every day. Lindy discovers that family connections are not measured only by time spent together. Sometimes they are measured by love, by legacy, by the invisible bond that continues existing even when someone is gone. That understanding gives her something she has been searching for her entire life: peace. Not because all her questions have been answered, but because she finally understands that her father has been part of her journey all along. Every lesson Amy taught her, every story Jack shared, every value that shaped her character. Ty was there, not physically, but spiritually, emotionally, as a lasting influence that helped guide her toward the person she is becoming. At the same time, the entire Heartland family begins reflecting on the impact Ty had on their lives. Jack remembers the young man who arrived at the ranch carrying more problems than solutions. He remembers the mistakes, the growth, and the determination that eventually transformed Ty into a man worthy of Amy's love. Lou reflects on the countless times Ty stepped up when his family needed him. She remembers his loyalty and the way he always put the people he cared about first. Even the younger members of the family begin hearing stories they never knew before. Stories of courage, stories of sacrifice, stories of hope. Each memory adds another layer to Ty's legacy. And with every story told, his presence feels stronger, not because he has returned, but because everyone realizes he never truly disappeared. That realization becomes especially important for Amy. For years, she carried a quiet fear deep inside her heart. The fear that one day people might stop talking about Ty. The fear that time would slowly erase the memories she worked so hard to preserve. The fear that Lindy might never fully understand the incredible man her father was. Now she understands those fears were never necessary, because legacy is stronger than memory alone. Legacy lives through actions, through values, through love. And Ty's legacy exists everywhere at Heartland. It exists in the family he helped build. It exists in the lessons he left behind. And most of all, it exists in Lindy. As the season reaches its final emotional moments, Amy finally arrives at a place she has spent years trying to find. Acceptance. Not acceptance of losing Ty. That pain will always remain part of her story. Instead, she accepts that love does not end when someone is gone. Love changes. It evolves. It becomes part of who we are. That understanding allows Amy to embrace the future without feeling like she is betraying the past. For the first time in a long time, she feels free. Free to dream again. free to hope again, free to build new memories while still honoring the old ones. And that may be the greatest gift Ty could have left behind. Not a letter, not a secret, not a hidden message, but the strength to keep living, the strength to keep loving, the strength to keep moving forward. As Amy and Lindy continue their journey together, they realize something beautiful. Ty's greatest legacy was never the ranch. It was never the horses. It was never even the stories people continue telling about him. His greatest legacy was the love he left behind. A love strong enough to survive loss. A love strong enough to guide future generations. A love strong enough to remain part of Heartland forever. And perhaps that is why fans continue talking about Ty Borden after all these years. Not because they want to erase the past, not because they want to undo the heartbreak, but because Ty represents everything Heartland has always been about. Family, hope, healing, and the belief that even during life's darkest moments, love can still light the way forward. If Season 20 chooses to explore Ty's legacy in this way, it could become one of the most emotional stories Heartland has ever told. Because sometimes the most powerful return is not a physical one. Sometimes the most powerful return happens in the hearts of the people left behind. And if Amy and Lindy finally discover that truth together, it may become a journey that no Heartland fan will ever forget. Now, the question belongs to you. If Heartland Season 20 explores Ty's legacy once again, what emotional moment would you most want to see between Amy and Lindy? And do you think Ty's influence still shapes the future of Heartland today? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.